The smartest people in the room rarely say much. They observe, they listen, they move in silence, while everyone else wastes energy trying to be noticed. In a world full of noise, opinions, and endless talking, true intelligence doesn't shout. It watches, it waits, and it acts only when necessary. This is the Stoic way, the path of quiet power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." Because the moment you let others control your emotions, you've already lost. Stoicism isn't about appearing cold. It's about staying clear. It's about mastering what's within, while the rest of the world loses control over what's without. And when you understand that, you begin to see things others don't. You predict patterns before they happen. You stop reacting and start directing. Today, we're diving into 10 Stoic keys that can quietly make you outsmart almost everyone around you. Not through manipulation, not through ego, but through mastery. Because when your silence grows sharper than their words, when your mind stays calm while theirs burns with emotion, that's when you've already won. Let's begin with Stoic key number 10. Number 10, master the art of silence. They say silence is empty, but to the Stoic mind, silence is information. The moment you stop talking, you start observing. You notice what others miss. You begin to read faces, tone, hesitation, the language between the words. The loud ones rush to speak. They fill every gap, desperate to be heard, terrified of being ignored. But in their noise, they reveal themselves, their insecurities, their motives, their weaknesses. The quiet person watches, and in watching, learns. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Because silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of control. When you stay silent, you hold power others give away. You control the rhythm of the room. You make people lean in just to know what you're thinking. That's why the Stoics practiced restraint in speech. They understood that words are like arrows. Once released, they can't return. So they spoke only when their words carried purpose. And that's what you must learn too. Don't rush to fill every silence. Let people reveal themselves in their own noise. The impatient expose themselves. The disciplined remain unreadable. Your silence becomes your shield and your weapon. It makes others wonder what you know, what you see, what you're planning. And that uncertainty is influence. So stop fearing the pause. Use it. Let it speak louder than any argument ever could. Because silence is never truly silent. It's full of answers, full of insight, full of power. But remember, silence alone isn't enough. If you can't control what's inside you, then even your quiet becomes loud. And that's where the next key begins. Number 9, control your emotions before they control you. He who angers you, conquers you. Those 6 words from Epictetus hold more truth than most people can handle. Because the moment someone can pull a reaction out of you, they own you. They decide how you feel, how you think, how you act. And the Stoics refuse to give that kind of power away. Reactivity is weakness. The Stoic mind stays calm even when the world is falling apart, because chaos loses its strength when it can't shake your inner balance. Think about it. Most people live like puppets on strings. A comment, a rejection, a small insult, and suddenly their entire mood changes. But the Stoic learns to pause, to breathe before speaking, to observe before reacting, to act only from reason, never from impulse. That pause is power. It's the thin space between what happens and what you choose to do about it. And in that space lives your freedom. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. When insulted, he reminded himself, "They act out of ignorance. Should I act out of anger?" He understood that no one can harm your soul unless you hand them the weapon. So the next time something tests you, slow down. Don't rush to defend your ego. Don't let emotion dictate your intelligence. Let your calm become your counterattack. Because a calm mind disarms any enemy. And when others lose control, that's when you rise above them. Quietly, effortlessly. The world doesn't need your reaction. It needs your restraint. That's where true power lives. And once you master your emotions, you'll realize something even deeper. Your energy is sacred. And that brings us to the next Stoic key. Number 9, control your emotions before they control you. He who angers you conquers you. Epictetus said that centuries ago, and yet it might be more true today than ever, because every time you lose your temper, every time you let frustration dictate your words or your actions, you hand your power over to someone else. The Stoics understood this deeply. To them, reactivity was weakness, a sign that your inner world was ruled by outside forces. The Stoic mind stays calm, steady, unshaken, no matter what storm surrounds it. Most people live on emotional autopilot. A rude comment, a small setback, an unexpected delay, and suddenly they explode. Their mood, their energy, their clarity, gone in an instant. But the Stoic doesn't take the bait. He observes before reacting. He breathes before speaking. He acts only from reason, never from impulse. That pause, that single breath between stimulus and response, that's where your freedom lives. It's the thin line between losing control and mastering it. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. When insulted, he reminded himself, "They act out of ignorance. Should I act out of anger?" Because to get angry at ignorance is to join it. The truth is simple. You cannot control what others do, but you can always control how you respond. And that control is everything. When you stop reacting, you start observing. When you stop being provoked, you start leading. Because calmness is dominance. So, the next time something tests your patience, don't give them your energy. Smile. Breathe. Remember, composure is your greatest defense. And once you master your emotions, you'll realize the next key is even deeper. Protecting the energy that keeps you balanced. Number 8, protect your energy from chaos. Not everyone deserves access to your peace. The Stoics knew this well. Serenity isn't something you stumble upon, it's something you guard. Every day, your attention is under attack. People pull at you with drama, opinions, distractions, each one demanding a piece of your focus, your calm, your time. And before you even realize it, you're exhausted, scattered, reactive. But the Stoic protects his inner energy like a fortress, because peace, once lost, takes effort to rebuild. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and often that suffering begins with what we allow to enter our mind. Who you listen to, what you consume, where you spend your time. So the Stoic learns to filter, not out of arrogance, but out of preservation. He limits time with those who drain rather than uplift. He walks away from arguments that go nowhere. He refuses to engage in chaos disguised as conversation. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. You don't need to fight every battle, answer every insult, or join every noise. You have nothing to prove to chaos. When your energy is scattered, your vision blurs. But when your energy is centered, everything sharpens. You see things as they are, not as emotion paints them. So protect your calm the way a warrior protects his sword. Don't let the noise of the world dull your edge. Guard your time, guard your focus, guard your mind. Because in a world where everyone's distracted, the one who stays composed, focused and untouched always wins. And once you protect your energy from the world, there's only one place left to return to: yourself. Number 7, use solitude as a superpower. When you master being alone, you master yourself. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's leadership. The Stoics didn't fear being alone. They sought it, because silence reveals what noise hides. When you step away from the crowd, the world's opinions, its constant chatter, something powerful happens. You begin to hear yourself again. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful than your own soul." He understood that solitude isn't isolation, it's recalibration. It's where your mind resets, where clarity is born, and where wisdom takes shape. Most people fear solitude because it strips away distraction. It forces them to face themselves, their thoughts, their weaknesses, their truth. But that's exactly why the Stoic embraces it. Because until you can sit quietly with your own mind, you'll always be a stranger to yourself. In solitude, you begin to notice patterns: how you react, what you avoid, who you've been pretending to be. And slowly, you refine your character like a craftsman sharpens his blade. A few minutes of true solitude each day, reflection, journaling, stillness, can shift everything. Because when your inner world becomes still, your outer world begins to make sense. So don't run from being alone. Lean into it. Turn off the noise, sit with your thoughts, watch them, learn from them. Solitude is the mirror that never lies. And once you've mastered being alone, you'll never depend on the world to feel whole again. Because clarity always comes from stillness. And when you see clearly, you can think strategically. Number 6, think strategically, not emotionally. The wise man acts, the fool reacts. Emotion makes you fast, but strategy makes you effective. The Stoics understood this difference better than anyone. When something happens, a slight, an insult, a failure, most people move without thinking. They react. They let anger or ego pull the strings. But the Stoic pauses. He observes. He calculates. Because he knows one moment of patience can save 100 moments of regret. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's strategy. It means playing life like chess, not checkers. Every move guided by reason, not emotion. Before you speak, think. Before you act, pause. Before you decide, predict the consequence. Ask yourself, will this matter tomorrow? Will this action bring me peace or more chaos? That's how you outsmart emotional people, by never letting them pull you into their storm. When they shout, you stay calm. When they push, you stand still. Because the one who controls his reactions controls the entire situation. Strategic thinking isn't about manipulation. It's about direction. It's about knowing your principles so clearly that nothing shakes your judgment. So stop being driven by mood. Stop letting emotion dictate your choices. Detach, observe, move with intent. Because the Stoic doesn't waste energy fighting every wave. He studies the tide and sails with precision. But remember, even the best strategy collapses. if you can't control your words. Number 5, speak less, mean more. The more you talk, the less people listen. The Stoics understood the power of silence and the danger of empty words, because every word you speak either builds your credibility or weakens it. We live in a world addicted to noise. Everyone wants to be heard. But few have anything worth saying. And the more you speak without purpose, the more invisible your words become. Seneca once said, "Speech that touches the heart is born not from the lips, but from reflection." In other words, don't speak just to fill space. Speak to deliver meaning. The Stoic practices measured speech. He pauses before answering. He chooses words like tools, precise, intentional, and few. Because wisdom doesn't shout, it whispers. Most people talk to be noticed, but the Stoic speaks to be understood. There's a difference. He doesn't gossip, brag, or exaggerate. He doesn't rush to prove a point. He lets his actions do the talking. When you speak less, your words carry more gravity. People start to lean in, they start to listen, because silence makes room for power, and silence also reveals truth. When you stay quiet, others expose themselves. Their motives, their insecurities, their flaws, all become visible in the space you create by saying nothing. So practice restraint. Let conversations breathe. Don't compete to be the loudest. Compete to be the clearest. Make your words count, or don't use them at all. Because every unnecessary word is a leak in your energy. And when you waste energy on talking, you have none left for thinking. Remember, the wise man doesn't need to announce his wisdom. It's felt, not declared. And sometimes the most powerful move is saying nothing at all. Number 4, never explain yourself to those who don't understand. The truth needs no defense. The Stoics live by this, because they knew not everyone is capable of seeing truth, and not everyone deserves your energy trying to make them see it. When you know who you are, you stop explaining. When you live by your principles, you stop seeking approval. And when you act with integrity, you stop needing to prove anything to anyone. Explaining yourself to those who've already judged you is a trap. They don't want understanding. They want reaction. They feed off your need to justify. And every time you defend yourself, you give them control over your peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's the Stoic way. Live it, don't argue it. You don't need to convince small minds. You don't need to prove your worth to people who measure life through ego, gossip, or fear. Let them misunderstand, let them doubt, let them talk, because your clarity is not their responsibility, and their confusion is not your problem. The Stoic focuses only on what he can control, his actions, his principles, his inner calm. He doesn't chase validation, he radiates it. So the next time someone questions your path, smile, stay silent, and keep walking. Truth doesn't require an audience, and wisdom doesn't explain itself. The moment you stop explaining, your mind becomes lighter, your focus sharpens, and your power returns. Because silence isn't weakness, it's sovereignty. And once you stop defending yourself to others, you can finally defend your peace within. Number 3, detach from what you can't control. Freedom begins when control ends. The Stoics built their entire philosophy on this truth, that peace doesn't come from mastering the world. It comes from mastering your response to it. Most people live in constant frustration because they try to control everything. What others think, what others say, what life gives or takes away. But the Stoic knows that's not control, that's delusion. You can't control the weather, the market, or the people you meet. But you can control how you think, how you act, and how you interpret what happens. That's where true freedom lives. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, to cease worrying about things beyond your power." It's simple, but it's not easy, because the ego wants control, and the ego hates surrender. But detachment isn't giving up. It's seeing clearly. It's doing your best, then letting go of the outcome. It's understanding that effort is yours, but result is fate's. So when things don't go your way, breathe. When people disappoint you, release them. When life changes direction, adjust your sails, not your soul. Detachment is strength. It's standing calm while others panic. It's moving forward when others freeze. It's peace, even in loss. Because the Stoic doesn't measure success by outcome, but by composure. He knows that no external chaos can shake internal order. The moment you stop trying to control everything, you become untouchable. You begin to move through life lighter, clearer, freer. And that's where peace begins. But peace by itself isn't enough. It needs direction. It needs purpose. Number 2. Move with purpose, not pride. Don't act to impress, act to improve. Pride wants attention. Purpose wants alignment. That's the difference between noise and impact, between chasing recognition and living with direction. The Stoics never acted to be admired. They acted because it was right. Because every action, no matter how small, shapes the kind of person you're becoming. Marcus Aurelius was emperor of the most powerful empire on earth. Yet he wrote reminders to himself daily. Don't be proud of your position. Be proud of your character. That's Stoicism in motion. Power without ego, action without vanity. When you move from pride, your energy depends on applause. But when you move from purpose, your energy becomes infinite. Because it's no longer tied to what people think. It's tied to what you know is right. The Stoic asks, is this action guided by reason, by integrity, by service to something higher than myself? If the answer is yes, he acts and never looks back. No need for validation, no hunger for praise, only quiet consistency, the kind that builds unshakable confidence. Pride wants to be seen, purpose wants to be fulfilled. And once you start living with purpose, you stop competing, comparing, explaining. You simply move. Every step intentional, every choice aligned, every failure a lesson, not a wound. That's how the Stoic lives. Not to impress others, but to impress upon himself the standard of excellence. Because purpose gives direction when pride seeks distraction. And in a world full of noise, purpose is silence with intention. When your actions come from reason and virtue, you stop performing and start progressing. And once you master purpose, you're ready for the final key. Number 1, master yourself. Outsmart the world, conquer yourself, and you'll need no other victories. This is the Stoic summit, where all lessons lead and all wisdom begins. Because the greatest battlefield isn't out there, it's within. Every emotion you master, every impulse you restrain, every thought you discipline, builds a fortress no chaos can breach. The Stoics understood, control over the self is control over life. When your mind becomes calm, the world becomes predictable. When your emotions no longer dictate your choices, the noise of the world loses its grip. Self-mastery isn't about suppression. It's about sovereignty. It's knowing your triggers, but not being ruled by them. It's feeling anger, fear, pride and still choosing reason. It's leading yourself before trying to lead anyone else. Marcus Aurelius commanded an empire, but his greatest empire was his mind. He faced betrayal, illness, and loss, yet he ruled himself with unshakable clarity. Because true power doesn't shout, it centers. The disciplined man is free, not because life is easy, but because he's no longer a slave to reaction. He acts with intention. He speaks with restraint. He lives with direction. And while others are pulled by impulse, he moves by principle. He doesn't chase approval. He radiates it. He doesn't control others. He understands them. And in that understanding, he always stays one step ahead. To master yourself is to outsmart the world, not by manipulation, but by mastery of mind. Because when nothing can shake your peace, nothing can control you. That's the Stoics' ultimate victory. Not power over people, not dominance over life, but dominion over self. Outsmarting others isn't about control over them. It's about control over you. The Stoics' way to outsmart everyone. 10 keys, 10 lessons, 10 ways to outsmart the world without ever needing to fight it. Because the Stoic doesn't win by out-talking others. He wins by outthinking them. He doesn't react faster, he reacts smarter. And while others chase noise, he moves in silence, steady, clear, precise. He protects his energy. He guards his peace. He studies before he speaks, observes before he moves, and chooses reason over reaction. He knows that mastery over the self is mastery over everything. So remember, the Stoic path isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming unbreakable. It's not about controlling others. It's about controlling you, your mind, your words, your focus, your purpose. Because when you own yourself, no chaos can own you, no person can shake you, no moment can define you. That's how you outsmart the world. Quietly, calmly, completely. You don't need to prove your strength. You become it. Master yourself. Rule your mind. The rest will follow.